Hey y'all, I'm James Wright. Welcome to my shop, and today we're talking about knobs and totes. Not the bags, these things.
Okay, I'm going to turn things over to Bryce. And I appreciate you guys. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to be back at 7:30, and I'm going to stay after 3:30 too.
Hey, let's have a hand for Gordon.
Thank you.
This is one of those presentations where I watched the first guy go, and I'm like, oh, me? Can we just let him keep going? Because I just learned so much right there. Oh, and I'm standing in front of the projector. I'm a professional. There we go.
You're not transparent.
Tell my wife that. Good afternoon. My name is Rex Kruger. I'm a furniture maker and content creator, and primarily a content creator. I make videos on YouTube, and my main focus is helping new woodworkers get started in hand tool woodworking. And so what I'm mostly doing on my YouTube channel is helping people get shops going from the ground up. And I'm always telling them, go out and get those used Stanley planes, the Miller's Falls, the Sargent, all of those. Those are still the best value, and I've got a bunch of videos on doing restorations and everything like that. I'm not really a restorer the way a lot of the artisans around here are restorers. I don't really have any interest in keeping things historically perfect. I've never painted a hand plane or japanned one. My only interest is getting them back to the bench as quickly as possible. But I am also a furniture maker, craftsman, and if I'm going to take the time to restore something, I do want it to look nice. So in doing that work, sometimes I hear people confronting beech as a secondary material for totes and knobs on hand planes. And I've heard people on forums and things say, oh, beech is a terrible wood for that. You got to get rid of that beech. You got to buy some rosewood. And I prefer rosewood too, but I actually think beech is kind of underappreciated as a material for knobs and totes. It's a reasonably dense, tight-grained hardwood. It doesn't have an open grain that collects dirt and junk like that, and it's a fairly durable material. Also, especially with Stanley, they only used beech for a fairly short period post-war, so when you have beech knobs and totes on a Stanley, they're usually newer and they just have less damage. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can do a quick and very effective restoration on a beech tote and get that thing back to work as quickly as possible. This is a Victor hand plane. Victor was kind of a homeowner or carpenter line that Stanley produced, and they're really an underappreciated plane. They typically go for a lot less than a standard Bailey plane, but they're 90% the same. I've used this one for years, and I really like it. And they set out the Victor line with a lot of red. They painted the frog red, the red logo, and then the knob and the tote are beech that were finished with this really pretty horrific red lacquer that flakes and chips off and looks like garbage. So what I did with this one is I stripped off all that old lacquer. I dyed them real quick with an aniline dye, which is my favorite for this stuff because you mix powdered aniline dye with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. And because it's alcohol-based, it doesn't swell the grain. You don't have to do anything to it. And you can go straight to your film finish. And I put some shellac on there, and that knob and tote are over 10 years old. And I've been using it this entire time, and they still look really nice. So that's one of the things that you can do with beech. Is it the space bar? Is that what advances the slide?
Should, or the right arrow.
Let's see. Space bar. Nice. Look at that. So this is a tote off of Canadian No. 5 hand plane that was broken anyway, and not a great plane. It's made of beech. This is what it looked like off the plane. Obviously, it looks terrible, and if we're going to bother fixing it up, we'd like it to look a little bit better than this. So I always just take off the old finish. I find that Stanley and a lot of the other manufacturers, they used like tinted lacquers or things when they couldn't use rosewood, and they flake off and they're very uncomfortable with the hand. I always remove that stuff mechanically. I don't use chemical strippers or anything like that because I have inhaled more than enough chemicals in this life. And I find a nice sharp card scraper followed by a little bit of sandpaper does a great job getting rid of that old finish. And then if you want to sand, which I usually do, and I want to sand with the grains so I don't get any of those lines, it can be very easy to get flat spots on that shape that you want to keep nice and organic, not just for the way that it looks, but you also want it to feel good in the hand. One of the techniques I use for that I find really helpful is just folding up some drawer liner, that rubbery stuff, and making a pad, and then I put a piece of 180 or 220 on top of that, and that allows you to have enough give as you're rubbing it back and forth. It lets you take material off very quickly, but it doesn't create any hard edges or flat spots. And this is a super quick way of getting rid of all the lines and everything from the card scraper and getting to a finishable surface very fast. Like right now, I'm at under 10 minutes of work on this thing. And then I really like to hit it with a bit of rubbing alcohol, mineral spirits afterwards, because mineral spirits gives you a good idea of what it's going to look like. So this is just the raw wood with a quick coat of mineral spirits, and that just lets me see what it's going to look like, and it highlights any defects, or if there's any glue or an old repair or anything like that, I can see it. And it's also now been cleaned and degreased, which is going to make it easier. Honestly, for finish on beach, a lot of the time, I just go with some dumb old Minwax stain, and I go with whatever color is sort of sitting around. I don't have any secret formulas or anything. I find Minwax oil-based stain works just fine, and you can see how much the grain of that beach is being highlighted and brought back. This is a fast repair, but that doesn't mean it can't be a good repair. And then after that, what I really like for all of my knobs and totes is just shellac. Again, I'm a heretic. I use the stuff out of the can. You can all throw stuff at me now. I don't mix my own. I just use this nonsense over here. I've had very good luck with it. And then I buff it out with steel wool and finish it up with Minwax paste wax. And I have planes that I've done this way that I've had for over 10 years that have held up really nicely. And I find that I can get these tools back to the bench super quick this way. And this is in comparison to a rosewood tote. And obviously the rosewood looks better, and I prefer rosewood too. But honestly, I don't think the beach one looks bad. I think you put that on a plane that you intend to use, and you're certainly not going to feel bad about it. It's pretty decent. And we'll finish up with just a quick before and after. And this is basic wood refinishing just applied to a tote. But it's a really big difference from a few minutes of work. It's about 10 minutes of stripping it, and then staining it and letting it dry, and then 2 coats of shellac. And what I love about shellac is it dries in 10 minutes. So I get 2 coats on the thing in about 20 minutes, and then it's done. And I think the before and after really works. The other place that you see beach a lot is on type 18. 18 Stanleys have the beach with the stained black. Is it
40, 40 and a half, also beach.
Okay, so also beach. And they're black, and they have that thick black lacquer that obscures the grain. And it's too bad because it's good wood under there. And I forgot to take a picture of this, but the ticket for that is called Feebings Leather Dye. F-E-I-B-I-N-G-S. It comes in a little bottle with a yellow label. Very, very easy to find on Amazon, very inexpensive. It's another alcohol-based dye that comes out of the leather industry, but it's incredible. It has the richest, blackest color I have ever seen in my entire life. It looks amazing on beach. Clear coat it with really anything you want to, lacquer, polyurethane, whatever. So much better than those handles came out of the factory. So just do the old finish removal, hit it with 1 coat of the Feebings to get it as black as you could ever want it to be, clear coat of choice, and it'll last you probably the rest of your woodworking career. So I think the most important thing is if you have a user-grade tool and you're trying to get that back to the bench, or you're trying to get it back to the bench for somebody new who's getting into it, don't worry about beach and don't look down on it. It's perfectly serviceable for this stuff. You can get it cleaned up and refinished super quickly, and then it'll last for a really long time. And honestly, once you're using the tool, I certainly can't tell the difference at that point. Right. So that's all I have to say on this. We weren't sure whether or not James had time to give his part today, or whether he wanted to talk tonight at 7:30. James, where are you at on that? No, I'm done. That's my last thought. Yeah, okay, so that's it for me. James Wright, everybody.
Okay, if you think Rex is a heretic, hang on.
Everything's a competition with you.
Yes, it is, and I will always win. So, If you know anything about me, you know that I like to paint my planes blue. Now, if I at least I don't paint them hot pink. I'll be teaching my daughter to do that though. If I'm restoring something from my own shop in my own use and a tool that I want to pick up and play with, I want it to be something that is intriguing and interesting to me. And so that's where I will dive into it and do crazy dumb things. But a lot of times I'll pick up a tool that has some history to it, some interesting to it, and I'll do different levels where I'll just clean and get the dust off it. Or maybe I'll try and bring it back to close to new or make it look like it's been used. And so there's all those different levels that I'll go to. But one of the things that I really try to stress to a lot of people is that when you are looking at working on a tool, a lot of people get very frightened about doing it wrong, about messing something up, about not having something done the correct way. And the answer is, there is no correct way. There is no best way. There is no perfect way. There are a plethora of different options, and they'll all give you different characteristics at different times, with different materials and different people, and there is no best way to do anything. And so with that in mind, I kind of think, you know, what do I want to do if I've got a plane that the furniture on it is horrible, there's no way I'm going to get this back. I can go buy new ones, or I can use this as an opportunity to make it something fun, new, and a little bit different. And so that's why I like to do a lot of interesting things. Rosewood is the best wood for a plane handle, or maybe beech, or maple, or whatever. And it's honestly, as long as it's durable enough to withstand the use from your hand and not crack under normal use, it's a perfectly fine wood, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it functionally. And I had a friend who had this beautiful plane, but the furniture on it was trash, ripped apart, and he had someone make a set of rosewood knob and tote for it that were as close as you could get to the original, but he just felt odd about putting that on there, as that wasn't the original furniture that was on there. He said, this is an opportunity that I want to do something different. And he had this beautiful piece of zebra wood. And I love how it came out. It was just this aha moment for me to make something that fit what I wanted. And it's also a great opportunity that you can use whatever scrap you have in the shop. And we all have that box of interesting, cool pieces. This is a fantastic place to use it because you're not using that much wood. You can make it out of little pieces. Or you can even make it out of multiple little pieces that you can glue together. Make sure I'm on news. And so this is a chance to kind of experiment, but it's also a chance to be cheap, frugal, and not spend much money on it. Or experiment and try something new. Because if you put the time into it and you find out that, honestly, that doesn't look very good, then who cares? You can make another one. It is a chance for you to just kind of to play around with it. Let me show them on this one. Sorry, reading backwards. So this one, I know it's a saw tote, not a plain tote. Saw handle. Why do we call it a handle when it's on a saw tote? When it's on stupid things. This one is actually a really cool piece of oak burl, but there were some small voids into it. And the beautiful thing about this is the burl actually wrapped around the shape. And so it's a really nice, strong, with the wood grain wrapping around it. But there were a few odd voids in there that I just was able to put in a little bit of blue epoxy. Do you want to? Maybe, maybe not. But you know what? That matches the planes that are on that wall, so I'm happy. But it's a great chance to put in a bit of personal expression and fit who you are. And honestly, does this saw work any better than any of my other saws? No. But if I have two of them sitting side by side, this is the one I want to grab because this is the one that brings me joy. And I look at that handle and it sparks something different. And that really, I don't know, that's one of the things that intrigues me throughout. This is a set that I actually did with Rex, and we had several people work together. This plane was trashed. It had 5 different breaks on it. It had literally pitting rust that went all the way through the body. And we decided to bring this one back. And so we had it brazed back together and re-japanned and tried to go whole hog on it. And we actually had some carving into the lever cap.
Engraving.
Engraving, there's the word. But I had this torrefied hard maple that would be great, but the piece was too small. So I had a piece of maple on either side and actually sandwiched it. And I lined up the grain so it looked like the wavy grain on the maple actually went right through the torrefied section and then back onto the regular maple. So the grain matches from one end to the other. Is it traditional? No. Octagonal too. I really I had fun with that one. And it's just an interesting way to do some expression on it. Oh, this one, we're doing a repair on it. And it was an apple handle. I think it was apple fruit wood. And I could have done a repair to be exact on it, but I wanted this repair to stand out and say this was repaired. It was something interesting. And I had a piece of redwood, of rosewood, and it just seemed to fit in there. It pops out. It's very obvious. It's a repair. But I kind of like the look of it. So you don't have to make anything special. But when you do, we're actually coming through it. I don't know if, I'm sure most people here know, but if you ever go to Veritas website, they have these patterns you can download. And if you really want to go hog wild onto it, you can get the plexiglass and lay it on there and cut it out. And the nice thing with the plexiglass is you can actually set it on there and see what the grain is through the handle. I've actually taken the pattern before and put it on with mineral spirits. And you pour the mineral spirits onto the pattern and you can see through it to see what the grain is underneath it. You're not going to use that piece of paper again, but print off another one.
Did it transfer the print?
No.
Okay.
No, it makes the paper clearish,
Yeah,
kind
I
of
didn't
a
know
foggy
if it-
look so you can see through it and see the grain underneath.
No, the toner would stay on the wood.
Yeah. The paper's trash afterwards, but it's just a quick and easy way to look through it, unless you want to actually go and make patterns. And if you're going to make more than one, make a pattern. It makes it so much easier. But the interesting thing about this one is it sets it up. You can see the dotted line, or the dotted line here is actually the block of wood. So you can drill this hole first on your drill press, and then shape your handle around it. When I'm making mine, I actually shape the handle and then drill the hole through it, but that's because I'm doing it with all hand tools. I'm stupid and crazy that way. But I like to actually drill the hole and do the dangerous thing afterwards, even though I just put in all the time and work and effort into it rather than drilling beforehand. Don't know why, but that intrigues me.
How do you drill the hole?
Embrace it.
You clamp it sideways, right?
Yeah, I'll take the handle and I will turn it this way and clamp it in the vise that way. And I'll have it down at my stomach and put the brace into it. And then on the brace, I actually take my wedding ring off and I'll put it on the shaft. And so as I'm drilling horizontally, if I drop down and start boring up, the ring slides back to me. If I go up too high, the ring slides away from me. And so looking at it vertically, I can see if I'm out of alignment side to side, but then that ring lets me know if I'm out of alignment vertically, and I can draw a very, very accurate line. Most of the time, if I'm going like 3 inches or more, I'll be off by 1/32 of an inch when it pops out the other side. It's actually very accurate. But I find that fun. That's me. I'm twisted. I'm weird. Don't follow me. But it's much easier to drill it out on the drill press first, and then shape your hand around the hole you've already done. Once you have the pattern on here, it's actually pretty simple. I like to actually take an old glue stick and take that pattern and glue it on to the face with just your regular craft glue stick. With the pattern on there, it gives you a spot to drill 2 holes, so you have the radius for both of the inside arcs. And theoretically, those holes should be the exact curvature needed for those 2 inside marks. And then you can come through, cut out the majority of the waste, and then with file and rasp, shape it down, or sandpaper, or belt sander. I like to bore them out with a bit and brace again. But again, I'm weird. Rex likes to pull out a drill. And
Electricity.
then for doing the cutout, I used to come in with a turning saw and follow that line perfectly with a turning saw, or use it on the bandsaw. I find it much faster just coming to the back saw, because the lines needed are actually pretty straight. There are a little curvature to it, but the back saw just makes it much faster. Just come down, cut down, cut down, cut down. Those 2 cuts on either side, I've taken out the majority of the waste really quick and easy. Because the next thing you're going to do is be hitting it with a file or a rasp to start doing the shaping down on it. So that's after cutting it out with the back saw. And then hand screw clamps are the answer. Unless you've got, here, I'll show you. These I absolutely love. So he's got this base, I don't know if you wanted to.
No, you go for it.
He's got this base that's mounted onto a piece of wood.
It was a broken
so
plane.
You can actually lock, oh, so that's actually, it's the
plane.
corrugation on there. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a smart idea.
Jenks has buckets of
You have to
broken
go bust
planes.
up a broken plane to do it myself.
No, yeah, don't break one, get a broken
But
one.
then you can clamp this and have full access to it. I have not yet done that. I'm going to, though. This is an awesome idea.
Right.
But
You know what, on that, the first one I made was a rectangle, and so I was constantly moving my vise back and forth.
Oh, you
Then I
made
made
the
it
same
square,
dimension.
so you just crack it loose, you can lift it up and turn it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the thing. And you can tip them and move them around, and it gives you a lot of clearance. But those are just plain scraps, yeah, from a
that's
broken
fun.
plane.
That's awesome.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, so if you don't have that hand screw clamp, put the hand screw clamp in your vise, and it allows you to work on it. I actually do it in quadrants. So I'll clamp the head here, and I'll do everything inside on the opposite side from my clamp. Then I'll rotate it, and I'll do everything on this side, opposite from the clamp, and then I'll rotate it again, and so I do it in 4 sections. Start with a really coarse rasp, go into a finer file, and a finer file until it's ready for finish. And I honestly go straight off the file with mine, unless I need a little more detail. I might come in with some sandpaper or a bow sander. I found that a very fine file gives a beautiful finish, as long as you're soft on the touch. I like that. It takes a little more time and a little more being delicate with it, but I like using files. Then for finish, for me, it's just boiled linseed oil and paste wax because I want to feel the wood. I don't like shellac on it. Again, I love to feel the actual texture of the wood. And actually, some of my favorite plane toads that I've held are made from oak. And you'd think oak is a horrible wood, but functionally it's just as good. It's just far more textured, and I like the feel of that. Rosewood is such a smooth, glossy feel to it. It's just a personal preference. So, yeah, if you like feeling texture and you like feeling those holes in the groove, boiled linseed oil works great. But if you're like most people, go with the shellac spray.
I bet your hands are soft too. I've seen you stick your whole hand in that jar.
Yeah,
It's like, I think of Pooh Bear and Honey when I see him do that. It's like, just get some glow, pulls it out.
the BLO I use is homemade. There's no chemical dryers in there, so I don't have any problem with it. It's the same as raw linseed oil, except for it's partially polymerized, so it polymerizes quicker. So if you go get it from the store, use gloves. That's that. So making it is one of these times where you can kind of experiment, play around, try some different things, and have a bit of fun with it. You don't have to make things original. Now there's a big part of me that likes to do that though. There are times when I see a piece that I really want to maintain the history, and I just clean it up and do the minimum required to make it showable. Or there's a piece that needs to be replaced, but I want it to be replaced artistically. There are times for that. But then there's other times when, it's a Stanley No. 4, and I want to give it to my friend who wants to get into woodworking. I want to make something quickly. I want to make something that would show it off to him, and I know his favorite color is red. I might want to paint it red, because I know it would be a way to show him that I'm thinking about you. Does it really matter on a Type 17 No. 4? No, there's enough of them out there that's not going to be an issue. So it's a good chance to just kind of experiment, play around, and have some fun. So that's what I got.
Thank you very much.
Sweet.
Questions for James?
So there you have it. Now this was actually the second half of the first part of the video from 2 weeks ago. It was all one big presentation at the MWTC. It was actually 2 different presentations. But Rex and I had a lot of fun with this, and I wanted to separate this out because Rex and I were talking more about the making of the totes and And I wanted to separate this out a little bit more because Rex and I, our presentations were a bit shorter, and so it was better to put those 2 together. So this is one of those fun times where you can actually do something that treats yourself. You don't have to make something exactly like it was before. you can have a little bit of fun with it. And not all totes are made out of rosewood. As Rex shows, there's quite a few made out of beech and apple and cherry and other things out there. So have a little bit of fun, experiment, find out what you like, and give it a try. And if you do have any questions, thoughts, ideas, snide remarks, throw those in the comments down below. If you would like to come see a talk like this, the MWTCA has another convention coming up this fall, September 24th through the 27th in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And so if you want to join us there, go to MWTCA.com. And not only seeing me, you're probably going to see several of these people over there, because the patrons on this channel, a lot of them are actually members of the MWTCA as well. So thank you for that and supporting this channel, and I think they'll do it for now. And until next time, have a wonderful day. Don't believe a word Rex says. He lies. Just look at him. He's got those short arms.